Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. So before we begin, Mahmoud, if you can come up, I want Mahmoud to recite a few verses of Quran to kind of start us back in.
Get in the camera shot.
Yeah.
In the camera.
He'll be in the camera shot.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah khairan. Alright, Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. So the second segment that I will be discussing is titled Akhlaq with Reverts, Understanding Urf. This segment, I want you to understand, is not necessarily a prescriptive segment like giving you instructions, more so giving you context on certain American customs so that you are aware of it, whether you are giving da'wah to a non-Muslim audience or taking questions from new Muslims. So once again, this segment is intended to help Muslims recognize American customs, especially those that may appear on their face to contradict Islamic teaching, so that the Muslim, either an aspiring da'i or someone assisting new Muslims, has the necessary context to better address them. So let's start once again by kind of setting definitions. So there's two terms that I've come across when reading Islamic texts regarding custom. Urf or adat. Once again, you put in urf into Google Translate. Okay, what do you get back? You get this English term custom. Okay, what is custom? If you travel overseas, you might be dealing with customs. We're dealing with something different here. Custom in this context refers to a widely accepted way of acting that is specific to a culture, a time, or a place. So this term custom, we could be talking about something as basic as a handshake, which historically originated from a wide range of cultures. It was a way to indicate, hey, I'm unarmed, at the time of like swords and shields, hey, I'm unarmed, I mean you no harm. There's things like the curtsy, which is kind of like more specific to a culture, like modern England. There's this custom, which when I converted to Islam threw me off. The whole, kissing the cheek when you're shaking hands. Now, as a new Muslim, when I took my Shahada, I remember, and I'm going to mention his name, he did nothing wrong, Sheikh Hassan Qazaz gave me the cheek kiss. That threw me off. I was like, hey, yo, whoa, what's it? Because once again, from my American orf, we don't do that. Handshake, if you're close to somebody or it's a family member, you might hug. But cheek kissing, 2 sides, 3 sides, threw me off. Once again, these are, customs are typically restricted to a specific culture, a specific time and place. Islam, in general, is relatively permissive about customs so long as they don't contradict or contravene either our aqidah or the sharia, either our beliefs or the expected actions. So, kind of one of the first customs that I've noticed, both when I converted to Islam, as well as when I'm teaching new Muslims, is the custom of eye contact. The American custom is you make direct eye contact with who you're speaking with, especially if it's one-on-one. Now, obviously, in a group setting, I might be switching eye contact with different people. I was raised that way. Parents would often drill their children here in the United States to make eye contact, especially with those who hold authority. Your parents, a police officer, so on and so forth. In the American urf, eye contact is generally, because America has many subcultures, most subcultures within America, we view eye contact as a way to gauge one's truthfulness or whether somebody's being deceitful, whether somebody's trying to lie, trying to trick us. Direct eye contact, which I'm making with I said, means that I'm being honest. If I'm looking off to the side, an American may interpret that as, are you trying to trick me? Are you trying to fool me? Something's off here. In many Muslim cultures, and this is kind of, it's, what I call kind of culture shock for a lot of American, reverts, it's almost, I wouldn't say flipped, but there is the concept, especially when dealing with, cross-gender interaction, you lower the gaze, right? For an American, it's going to take them a little bit of time to kind of understand, okay, if I'm interacting with a sister, maybe a sister's asking, hey, can you turn the AC on? And oh, it died. Sorry. You're good. You guys hear me? Am I loud enough? Okay. So, for example, a sister comes up, hey, can you crank the AC up in the masjid? Or hey, we need something, on our side. For an American, they will kind of like make eye contact. It's like, hey, I'm showing you my attention, like I'm showing that I'm listening. But once again, okay, that's weird. Once again, this is something that, especially when you're teaching new Muslims, it's going to take a little bit of time to kind of wean them off of, the idea that, you should be making eye contact at all time. Because once again, if I'm lowering my gaze to the sister who's asking me to crank up the AC, once again, I'm not being deceitful, just out of respect from the Quran, I'm going to lower my gaze. This is, one of the first things that I noticed, after I converted to Islam, that I've noticed new Muslims ask me about. It's like the eye contact. All right, let me try this. Okay. The second, oh, this thing's just going to be troublesome. Okay. I'm just going to be really loud. The second.
No, it's all good. We fixed it. You can put it back.
Okay, all right, Jazakallah khairan. The second major kind of difference between how new Muslims were brought up in terms of like their custom that also differentiates from the Islamic expectations is gender, cross-gender interactions. I kind of call it like degrees of separation. Americans have been brought up with a very permissive crossing between men and women. In the media they consume and the activities that they've taken part in before Islam, it's very interesting. There's a high degree of allowance in mixing, but there's also been this prevalent issue of what we call like mixed signals. Right? A man interacting with a woman in the American context, there's always been that latent problem of the woman might be getting mixed signals on like what the man is trying to convey and vice versa. Whereas in Islam, there's degrees of separation that is expected between men and women. For example, we don't just engage in frivolous talk with the opposite gender. I don't just hang out with sister so-and-so, oh, how was your day? No. In Islam, no. I've had questions from new revert sisters about this, and what I bring up to try to help them build an understanding for the Islamic concept of degrees of separation between men and women. Nowadays we have what's called like the Me Too movement, which once again I'm not getting into like the culture war stuff, but essentially it was the fact that women in like the media industry were being taken advantage of by men in positions of power. Now, what I explained to the sister was if you had those degrees of separation where the man couldn't claim, well, I misunderstood your cue, or I misunderstood the tone of your voice. I thought you were being, a'udhu billah, flirtatious, and I thought you were okay with my advances. Once again, the degrees of separation in Islam it creates a clear barrier so that either gender doesn't get to say, brother so-and-so is being flirtatious, I felt like, or sister so-and-so is being flirtatious, I feel like. No. The degrees of separation are there to even avoid those gray areas where two people of the opposite gender interacting could misinterpret, whether out of their shahawat or genuinely, I didn't understand what brother or sister so-and-so were saying, or were like implying to me when they asked this and that question. The degrees of separation are there so that you don't even get into that mess of, I didn't understand what sister so-and-so was saying to me or brother so-and-so was saying. Now, in the formal kind of classroom for new Muslims, I find that, so currently here in Louisville, we have 3 classes for new Muslims. The Friday evening classes at Masjid al-Nur, Saturday morning classes taught by Sister Sakina, which is only for sisters, and then I teach the classes Sunday mornings for those who may be working Fridays, Saturdays. Now, Friday and the Sunday classes, we do have it open for both men and women, new Muslims. I find that the classroom setting is an effective way to start to teach and to kind of train new Muslims in the expectations of that kind of degrees of separation. So for example, we'll have just like in the Salah, the men will be sitting the front rows, women in the back. We have them seated once again with separation, not to where like they're sitting together where they can chit chat and that sort of thing. And I also, I've explained this to the sister that's currently in my class on Sunday. If you were to leave, you didn't, for whatever reason you feel more comfortable, not attending my class, I'm not going to sit there and text you, oh, sister so-and-so, where did you go? No, but once again, degrees of separation. We're not going to have frivolous talk. We're not going to, little chit-chat. But we're here for education. We're going to also, through the classroom structure, instruct on these things like the degrees of separation between men and women. For example, as a married guy, I'm always going to wear my ring when I'm teaching my class, because in American custom, the wedding ring is a clear indicator that, okay, that person is married. Most subcultures in America, they are going to respect that. They see a ring on a man, they see a ring on a woman, I'm not even going to ask about them, their availability, but I know they're married. End of story. There are, unfortunately, some subcultures, like if we were, God forbid, down in Miami, that didn't even matter if you have a ring on, God forbid. But once again, I'm going to have all of these, even American customs, present so that I'm married, don't ask, plus we're only here for education. But hopefully that kind of helps, because I've noticed even among Muslims, they're like, well, how do I explain gender separation, that sort of thing. Hopefully that kind of clues you in on ways to kind of discuss that, because even in American culture, once again, a lot of our media always is written around this gray area where it's like, I don't know what he meant by this, I don't know what she meant by that. I was a bit look, we have degrees of separation because we're not even going to have our men and women get into that kind of muck where it's like, well, I don't know what he meant or she meant, mixed signals, bus. We're going to completely separate that so that we don't run into those situations. Okay. Deference and respect. I've noticed among, some Muslims, they have this idea that, a lot of Americans just have no sense of deference and respect. Regionally here in the United States, like here in Kentucky specifically, we kind of have like the Southern culture. There is that urf, that custom that I should defer to somebody of authority, that I should be respectful to my elders. It's not something that we encounter like in the South often. One thing that I do want to bring up is, when you're giving dawah or when you're answering questions, and I'm going to kind of be careful on how I approach this, because we had a recent situation in one of the classes. Somebody shared a video of somebody who, at least to the person who was watching the video, they thought of it as denigrating like certain hairstyles of African Americans. When you're giving dawah, when you're answering questions, be very mindful of any prejudices you may bear, or any prejudices that can be construed in videos that you're sharing. Basically, the video was some guy talking about, certain hairstyles among African American are like nappy, they're unkempt, and we should avoid that. Now, the lady who received the video, she's an African American convert, she got justifiably upset. She was like, man, like, are you guys like racist against blacks? That sort of thing. You need to be very careful. If you have any prejudices, please do yourself the favor and that person the favor. Just don't answer, don't give dawah if you're going to let that kind of permeate in whatever you're explaining. And also, and this is in general, this is not even about that topic I just brought up. If people are asking you questions, do your best not to just throw them a video, especially a video that you yourself did not actually go through and watch, and say, you know. Online, a lot of the stuff, and I kind of joke about this with the new Muslims that I teach. I'm almost like Amish. They call them Luddites. Like, I'm anti-technology. I'm not sharing a lot of YouTube videos of my students and stuff. I'd rather either I'll answer if I have the knowledge, or like Brother Omar brought up in the first seminar, if my answer is I don't know, I'm going to refer to Sheikh Abu Zakaria, Mufti Atif Iqbal. You know, we have, alhamdulillah, a number of learned members in our local community. If I can't answer it, I'll go to them, hey, you know, so-and-so asked me a question. Can you give me, you know, an answer that I can, or I'll refer them to that person to ask the question. It's very important that we be respectful in our dialogue, whether you're giving da'wah, whether you're answering or taking questions. You may feel frustrated that, oh my God, this question is so obvious, why are you asking? But be respectful in your tone and how you're answering questions or delivering da'wah, you know, because you let, you know, frustration show, or you know, your tone shifts. Even if you feel like you're saying the right thing, that delivery in and of itself may affect the reception. So definitely, my strongest encouragement is be respectful in your tone, treat people with decency, even if you're frustrated, and you may be frustrated with yourself, I don't know the answer, but calm down, deliver, you know, with a respectful tone. Last slide. Sorry, punctuality. I know I'm gonna, you know, preach to the choir here, but punctuality is very important. A, as a Muslim, but B, especially if you're giving da'wah, if you're answering questions, you know, if you agree, hey, I'm gonna show up at such and such time, let's grab some coffee, or let's meet at the masjid, I'll answer your questions. Be punctual. In most American subcultures, punctuality is very important. If you're not punctual, if you're not keeping your word, refer to the hadith that I've listed here. If you're not keeping your promise, now, obviously as a Muslim, that is one of the signs of nifaq. To that American audience, it's a major blemish. You're not trustworthy. If you gave me your word that you're going to be here at such and such time, and I'm sitting here 30 minutes, hour late, it's a major blemish. Another thing, and this is something that especially like most of the audience, you know, you guys are either members of the Muhsineen or you're going to be joining the Muhsineen in July. Be forthright and direct when you're negotiating, hey, can you meet me at such and such time? Don't just say, inshallah, inshallah. Be direct, be forthright. And this message, I know, you know, we have one sister, but this message I'm giving specifically to the brothers. Part of maturity as a Muslim man is being forthright, whether it's about your availability, about your interest in something. Don't just, inshallah, like kind of just throw it over your shoulder. Be forthright and direct. When giving da'wah, when, you know, answering questions, also be forthright and direct. So, like I mentioned, here in Kentucky, Kentucky generally is considered part of the South. In the South, if you are forthright about your convictions, they will respect you 99% of the time. Unfortunately, I see this in our community. I'm shy to say that I'm Muslim. I'm shy to say, oh, I need to make wudu, I need to pray. You're in Southern culture, you have that forthrightness in your conviction, people will respect you. Brother Ka'ab, who right now he's doing an internship with Toyota, he explained this to me. So he was at one of the factories in Georgetown, and he was like, Alhamdulillah, he was very forthright. Somebody caught him in the bathroom, you know, like making wudu and stuff. What is that? He sat there and he explained, I'm making wudu to perform my prayer to please Allah, to please God. And his coworker from then on was like, hey, use like my cubicle to perform your salah. Trust me, being forthright and direct is a lot more effective than, unfortunately, you know, some in our community may think, where it's like, oh, I gotta be shy, I gotta conceal. Bus. No. Be forthright and direct, especially like in this kind of, you know, kind of in that Southern culture, you'll get a lot more respect that way. So you're giving da'wah, don't shy away. Be forthright, be direct. You're showing your conviction. You're answering questions. Don't be shy. Oh, I don't know this. No. Hey, I don't know the answer to this question, but I'm going to go to Mufti Atif, Sheikh Abu Zakaria. They will respect you that much more. Are there any questions? It doesn't have to be related exactly to what I've pointed out, because there's a lot more, you know, American customs that we should be aware of when we're giving da'wah, when we're answering questions. This is a shorter presentation. Are there any questions? Are there any situations that you want nasiha on, advice, anything like that? Amar.
What if somebody comes and they already have like a bad, like they have a bad idea of either a Muslim or Islam, and they already come with this idea that, oh, this person is negative, I'm not gonna get anything from him. How do you go about that?
So, you know, if they're coming to you in person, you usually don't have to worry about something called cognitive dissonance, which is like, I'm just looking for any reason to disagree with somebody. If they're coming to you in person, that is definitely the time that A, you answer the questions that they come with, and B, you know, in answering them, you know, be direct. Don't be like shy or coy, because that's the other thing. When you're interacting with somebody, especially like you know, somebody from like an American background, when you kind of, you know, when you do this maybe you know, this coyness, that's usually like, to them, they're going to interpret that as, oh, you're being deceptive. Like, you know, it's like, oh, I got you, you know, with this question about, you know, LGBT, for example. Oh, I got you, you know. You guys, you know, must want to stone them and throw them off of walls, you know, this, that, and the other. But if you are direct with them, they're going to have respect, even if they've come into the conversation combative, like, I have a bad impression. If you show that you have conviction in how you answer them, you know, stand, you know, with a straight posture, direct with them, you know, you're answering their questions, they're, more times than not, they're going to respect you, even if they may disagree with the answer. They're going to at least respect you, because, like, man, that person's shown conviction. They've shown that they're serious about, you know, A, their own learning, and B, their willingness to answer me. It's not as prevalent now, but it was around like 9/11. The idea that Muslims religiously are taught to just lie about everything. It's not as prevalent now, but if you show that seriousness in answering their A, treating their question as a serious question, and B, giving them a serious answer, more often than not, they're going to respect you. They may disagree, but they'll respect you in that interaction. Hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of nasiha. Oh yeah, if there's no other questions, we'll take. Oh.
Can you define deference?
So oh yeah. The word deference in English, it means a willingness. So, you know, I mentioned like deference to an authority figure. It's a willingness to accept their decision or their answer as the
Kind of like
the
a
truth.
submissiveness to them.
Yeah, like it's
indifference is the opposite thing, right?
Yeah.
Indifference.
So-
indifference is like you do not respect people's like authorities, like
Mhm.
they're in a decision, you're actively like undermining.
I see real quick. So deference, which I had on one of the slides, DEFERENCE, deference is a willingness to submit to somebody's answer or their authority.
Indifference is when they just don't care.
Oh, right.
But there's also indifference, which is you're actively like disrespectful of somebody that you would normally be respectful to.
Oh, I got confused by the ending.
Yeah, no, you're good. Jazakallah khairan.